One of the things that I think a lot of people get confused about is activity versus results. Activity is necessary. You have to go out and do the work. You have to create activity in whatever you're trying to do. And, Gary Keller wrote a book called The One Thing, and he says, find what is that one thing that's an activity that drives the most results. And you have to figure out what that one thing is, and then you have to run that play over and over and over and eliminate distractions. And so, I think a lot of people, they think that just because they're doing an activity, though, that they're going to be successful. You can work really hard, but not be working smart. So you have to always evaluate, is this getting results? Is this results oriented? One of my mentors taught me early on the concept of revenue producing activities. And so he would always say, is the activity revenue producing? Meaning, is what you're doing, does it result in producing revenue, income? Does it conversions if you're doing business online? I think especially in this age of social media, a lot of people think that they're successful if they get a lot of likes, or they gauge their success by how many views. And you know what? That's cool to get a lot of likes. We want that. It's cool to get a lot of views on something. You want that if you're doing business online. You're promoting whatever you do online on social media, but it doesn't always equate to results. And so in business, you have to be results driven. You always have to reevaluate and look at what you're doing and step away from the table. Because when you're in it, sometimes it's hard to really know the difference between activity and results. And so sometimes you have to step away and remove all emotion of things that make you feel good, things that make you feel bad, and remove all of that and cut through all of that and be analytical and be logical and look at what is producing results. And whatever that is, you just run that play over and over and over with as much passion, as much intensity, as much focus as you humanly possibly can. Because, activity can be just that. It can just be activity. And what we're looking for is results. And what is that activity that is going to drive those results? So it doesn't matter what you're doing, what type of business you're in, it's all about results. If you work for someone else and you have an employer, you have a boss, they really don't care about the level of activity. What they are looking for is results. And so a lot of times people that work for me, that are employees, I'm not as concerned about the amount of hours that it takes to get a certain task done. What I'm worried about is the result. Can you get it done? And can you get it done correctly? Can you get it done on a timely basis? And so it's the same thing if you're in sales, if you're in any type of business where you're converting customers, prospects. It's about what drives results. And if you can just focus on running that play over and over and over, then your results are going to start to stack up. And that is what's going to take you to the next level.